You're listening to Hustle and Heart, Defining Success on Your Own Terms, a podcast for the dreamers and go-getters who are building something real and refuse to leave the most important parts of themselves behind while they do it. I'm Vanessa, a brand strategist, founder, and your host. I sit down with women doing the kind of work that doesn't always make it onto the highlight reel, but absolutely should. This is where we have that conversation. Let's get into it. You know that moment when you look at the entire industry and think, this is broken and nobody's fixing it? Well, most people complain about it, but there are a few people who walk away from it. And then there's Julie Cassens, who looked at the food truck model, saw exactly why it would never work for private events at scale, and decided to build the thing that didn't exist yet. No blueprint, no precedent, just a problem that needed solving and a woman stubborn enough to solve it. My food truck event is now its 12th year in existence, 76 reoccurring revenue, custom multi-window trucks that serve hundreds of meals per hour, hundreds of events, and a food category that literally did not exist before she created it. So she didn't disrupt an industry, she legit built one. Today, we're talking about what it actually takes to see a gap nobody else is willing to fill, and then have the audacity to fill it fabulously. The systems thinking, the proving it phase, the moment numbers finally backed it up, she already knew. So without further ado, welcome to
Thank
Hustle
you,
and Art,
Vanessa.
Julie.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. You know what's crazy is my friends and my family just think it's hilarious that I own these food trucks because I'm neither a foodie and I can't cook.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. How did someone like that end up building the most efficient food service model in the country?
Well, and you know, you never do anything alone, right? So, but what I truly don't believe that had I not been an event planner all those years, because I have one superpower, Vanessa, and that's to give you the experience you were hoping to have. And a couple of my corporate clients were like, can you organize a food truck rally? And I'm like, how hard could this possibly be? Right? Because there's a million of them. And this is just when food trucks started really coming onto the scene in Detroit anyway. So I booked a couple of trucks. I'm like, this is going to be fun. And this is going to be another way for me to expand my portfolio and another business venture for me inside my entertainment world. And everybody started coming out of that building. And I'm like watching them go up to this one window, because the majority of food trucks have one window where you stand there, you wait forever just to order your food. And then I call it the food truck hustle, where you scoot over to a secondary line and you wait for however long to get your food. I'm like, this is an experience, all right, but it's a bad experience. And I'm like, no, 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 this is not going to work. And I said, this might work at festivals where, you know, the lines at festivals is like how you determine who has the best food. It's like a feather in your cap.
Yeah.
But I understood in corporate, because I've been doing corporate for so long, that I was just, I don't want to call myself stupid, but I just, you know, sometimes when you don't know, it's almost better that you don't know. So my partner, George, happens to be a process engineer, 36 years at Chrysler. So I called him up and I'm like, dude, all right, can you build something that can handle speed, volume, and give me multiple food options? Because that's the other problem with food trucks, are they're all one-hit wonders. You're the pizza truck, the barbecue truck, and people, my clients, want options. Who wouldn't want options? And out popped our first truck. It was a 3-window truck. I call her Big Red.
Wow.
Still 12 seasons later, people come up to her truck and they're like, what's the name of your food truck? We have nothing on our trucks because every year we get so busy. I can't even deal with that because we're just so busy and booked. But anyway, 3 windows gives you 3 points of service, right? So right away, I'm working on that line, minimizing that line. Each window has a supporting kitchen, so I'm able to kick out different food options. And here's the killer We eliminated that dreaded secondary line. So we're able to serve everybody as fast as you can tell me what you want. I'm in real time putting it on and handing it to you.
That's
And
awesome.
it was like, my gosh, once we built that and we did it, we were off and running. Once people, here's who gets me. Everybody that we have a favorite watering hole that we go to. I do like, when you're a small business owner, you got to have some vice. I do like my wife. And I
You,
try
this is a judgment-free zone, Julie.
I try to explain to people what I do. And here's the first thing they ask me. That's like, oh, well, where do you go? Because the food truck's supposed to find a location. I'm like, no, no, no. We don't go and find a place to park. We don't wait for people to come to us. We only go to where hundreds of people are waiting for us and waiting to be fed. We don't even have a point of sale system on our food truck. The transaction for us happens before the gig when they order hundreds of meals. And when I tell people our four window does 400 meals an hour, our two window truck, now we have a two window truck, does 200 meals an hour. And now we built in maybe we'll talk about this, the first of its kind indoor outdoor food truck, because in Detroit, I wanted to extend the season for, I call them my kids instead of my staff, because they're all my kids' ages. And that's 300 meals an hour. So next week, I'm doing 2,000 people. I've got my three window, two window, my truck out that is another two window. That's 7 points of service, and we'll be able to kick out 1,000 meals an hour.
That's insane.
Well, most people say the common comment is that that's impossible. I'm like, we're doing it. It is crazy that. And all George and I was, when George started, he was doing hot dogs. We went from hot dogs to this in 12 years because we just kept saying, what does the client want? How do we solve that problem? And how do we get faster? How do we give them what they really want? Because when you think about it, that corporate HR person, you can bring in Panera lunches, you can
Yeah.
bring in pizza, you can do some ice cream, or you send the HR people out there to make hamburgers and hot dogs, which, by the way, they only do one time because it's a disaster. So, yeah, so my HR people are like, this is a crazy part too. When I talk to an HR person, she's like, "You can do what and how much time?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can feed your entire group of people in an hour to an hour and a half." She goes, "I want you to send me a proposal." And I'm like, "Well, wait, don't you want to talk about the food?" She goes, "Nope. Just said they don't really care about the food. And that's why we're not in the food business. We're in the experience business. We want to make sure that when a company is paying us to entertain and create something that people are talking about it weeks after. And so many companies now are now booking us 2 and 3 and 4 times a year because it's always such a great experience. So that's kind of next week. I don't know how I'm getting through next.
Yeah.
We have 11 jobs in 8 days, and one of them is 850 people, and another one of them is 600 people on top of all those other gigs. So, yeah, I'm scared. I run
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah, but you know what? You are gonna do phenomenal, and that's just gonna explode you guys even more. It's hard to fathom those numbers because many moons ago, like it was around 20 when Groupon was very popular,
Yeah,
right? It's downtown Chicago. I was working there for some time, and it was like they always corporate. We had the the perk of them bringing in vendors during lunch and food trucks. Everyone loved when it was food truck day. But I
yeah.
remember there was just so much commotion of which food truck was going to come out. And then literally for folks I remember on the opposite side,
Yeah,
as the consumer, right? I only had a limited time to work with for lunch. And
exactly.
then, like, I would be excited that a particular food truck would be there, but then when I'd look at the line, by default, I'd go with whoever I can grab a bite to eat and still have time to eat, and it's call it a day, right? Like, it landed from
Yeah.
excited to have them there and then a bummer and just, like, be okay, not
Let me put this into perspective. A typical food truck has a turnaround time, ticket time they call it, of a good one, not even an average one, of like 3 to 5 minutes. So if you do the math on that, you can only kick out 20 to 40 meals an hour
yeah. So the
versus
crazy.
hundreds. Yeah, so
You should be so proud, Julie.
I
Congratulations on that. That's like
am because we just had our heads down. And all of a sudden I looked up and I'm like, what do we have here? This is crazy what we have here. And so this year, my big focus, I got to tell you, 12 years in the business, everybody's like, you got to franchise this, you got to franchise. And I, honest to God, Vanessa, I am too to be somebody's boss at this point. And George just wants to be the CEO of his bar stool. So we really are looking, our exit strategy is to find a buyer. I personally would love, my ideal buyer would be a national corporate caterer that understands food, that has the executive team together. They just need our IP and our food trucks to be able to serve because they're doing chafing dishes, which is not as sexy as food trucks.
mhm.
But our process lets us serve large groups of people in less than 2 hours with minimal staff. They would freak out if they figured out if they saw our system. They would freak out.
I
So
can imagine.
yeah, so that's our big push this year, and it's one of the reasons. So we're local, we're in Detroit. So one of my big pushes is that I want to do more things like this. So I want to feel like I have a national presence without doing business.
So working smarter, not harder. I love your style.
Yeah, yeah. So that's, so we're talking to some investment bankers. We partnered up with them and that's going to be the goal. But yeah, I would love an exit strategy. And I love what you're doing on the women's side here, Vanessa, because
Thank you.
I'm a lot, I'm part of this entrepreneurista. What a mind blowing group of
Shout out
women.
to Panista.
My gosh, I cannot believe these women, like, and my daughter's kind of the same age as you all, but man, it's the women got it going on right now. It is such a prime time, and I will tell you that what you're doing and what you're offering, what I would say to any woman business out there, and this has been kind of more my thing, I've always been willing to invest in myself. I spend a lot of money on coaches, on different things, because I believe there's a difference between investing in yourself and spending money. You've got to separate that. And I wish more women understand that they have women like you out there that have the expertise to help them go faster and get to their goals much faster. So my big message in doing this, I've got a twofold thing, of course, talking about my fabulous business, but also promoting women like you that
Thank
can
you.
help you because of your expertise get going faster. Because even filling out your survey, doing all this stuff really helps you define your messaging and really get it strong and solid. And I don't care how good you think your message is, for years, I'm trying to tell people what I do, and they couldn't understand it. So now working on that messaging,
Yeah.
building a whole new food service category is the good news is we're still the only ones in the space after 12 years. Nobody's figured this out. I'm really not that smart.
No, that's just meant for you, Julie.
I just wanted to fix it for my clients. I
Yeah.
just wanted it to be a better experience because if it's not a good experience, nobody's calling you back for next year. And that's why we have a crazy recurring. My clients are all trained, Vanessa, to call me up and at least give me 2 or 3 dates. I talked to a girl, I've never done business, 800 people. I said, I'm not available that day. She goes, what about this date? I said, I'm not available that day. She goes, what about this date? I mean, she just was unwilling to do her event without somebody that could do what we do. So that's when you know you got something, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, from the outside in hearing your story, Julie, and like your success, you are like the ultimate goal. Like you work so hard and you make a great successful business and then, you pass it on and let it carry on its life, right? While you like take a moment to enjoy all of the hard work that you've done and do something.
We're not there quite yet, but I
You
mean,
will though. We're
yeah,
putting it out there, Julie. That's the goal, right? That is the
I
goal.
am. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to just put it out there, get on with entrepreneurs to get with people like yourself, Vanessa, and just don't do it alone.
Yes, yes. Well, speaking of that, I do wanna ask because again, like, from the outside in, it looks like, you make it look very easy, right? Someone could look at you and be like, "Oh my god, that's such great success," or hear you and be like, "Wow, wow, that's a no-brainer genius idea. They probably hit it out the ballpark right away." But,
Yeah.
because it does sound like you're the only one playing the game that's smart right now. So on that flip note, because, it's not always chocolates and roses, right? It's not always wins and celebrations. You've mentioned that you had to let go of a business partner before, correct?
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not easy. That's not
No,
easy.
especially it was a friend. And, you just gotta connect with people that share your same core values, and if you don't connect on the core value, it's like any partnership, whether you're married, whether you have a partner, you at the end of the day, George wants some a season, he's like, "Shut it down, I hate this business." He's like, "This is so hard," and I'm like, "You know, it's hard. That lobster truck that's gotta go out in the ocean and get their lobster, this
Yeah.
is hard." But, you have those moments because being in the food business, and I've never been in the food business. We've got a good friend. His dad owns one of the legacy restaurants in Detroit. He goes, I cannot believe you guys, neither one of you had food business. I said, I think that's why we figured it out. It would have stopped us because the paradigm's so strong. But yeah, it is hard.
How do you know when to walk away? Really? I guess that's the question, right? Like, how
Yeah.
do you know,
Yeah.
like, when
I've jumped off many cliffs, girlfriend. I mean, this is at my and I'll tell you, I'm 68 years old, and I will tell you, I've started many businesses because I'm an entrepreneur. And here, when it's not working, when you have to fight for every client, you're not getting repeat business, something is not clicking, something is not working. I believe that there are not the whole service thing has just gone away. Even when you go to McDonald's now and you just want a cup of coffee and you got to figure out the stupid kiosk. The customer service, it's like it's gone. And I
Yeah.
feel like if you can find out what your customer, who your target market, find out what they want, and then put an experience around it, you got a business that will succeed. And we food is not my priority. Speed is my priority. The experience is my priority. Food for me is number 3, not just because I'm not a foodie, but the food is great. Don't get me wrong. But those 2 other things have to be in place for it to be a successful because everybody's got their food. 400 people we did last year with both trucks. We did it in 25 minutes. I looked around because I was on the griddle. I was just doing my bun. I looked around, I'm like, "We have no line? Where's everybody?" And everybody, the whole parking lot, everybody was eating. I'm like, "We're done." I mean, I still have those moments where I'm like, "Oh my gosh, we are rock stars."
As you should.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a lot of work. That's a
yeah.
lot of
But
work.
if you're fighting it, something's wrong. Either you need to step back a second and think about what the customer is asking for. And you know what? Here's the deal. Sometimes they don't even know what they need. My customers all call because they want food. I never worry about food. I give them what they don't even know that they need until they experience us. because I've been in the entertainment business. And baby, when those windows open, it's showtime.
It's
My staff knows it's showtime. Showtime, kids. Give that person that you're serving an experience, even if it's just a couple of seconds. But yeah, so they're calling for food, but when they call us back the second year, the third year, the 10th year, they're looking for that experience.
Yeah, that's true because again, on the opposite side,
Yeah,
right? I would much rather be a repeat customer, a food truck that is giving me an awesome experience
yeah.
from the aesthetics to the way cleanliness to the interaction to and the food could be the last thing for real. It could be just mediocre. Okay, it'll hold me down to the next meal, but I will be back so long as the experience
And
is
you get it fast, and
yes.
nobody wants to wait in line. These
That's
food
awesome.
trucks that think that this is a feather in their cap. I was talking to a girlfriend. I use one other food truck vendor because she's got all the great carny stuff like elephant ears, and that's just something we don't do. So on a bigger event where they have kids, I bring her on. And she was like, "Yeah, that whole food truck. Good thing we got in the food truck business 12 years ago when it was hot because now it's, that ship has sailed." And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my God, not if you were in my business." I turn away 80% of the business that comes to me every single day. And I feel terrible about that, but I don't want to I could have 3 more trucks running in Detroit and have them booked, but I don't want to. It's time to make the big power move. It's time to help my kids take on more responsibility and make this theirs for Detroit.
That's awesome.
We're way past proof of concept here.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so, like, throughout that journey, you did also share with me that you were usually in a room filled with men,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
always typically leaned on them. What happened? Take us to the moment where it switched and you were like, not anymore, boys.
Well, it was this business. It took me forever because I would always default to the smartest person in the room. And my partner that we had to walk away from is probably Vanessa was heartbreaking. He's probably one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. But the heart thing, the values, the core values, and how we wanted to offer experience. And we don't worry about serving how big our meals are and things like that. He's really cheap, and he wanted to just penny pinch, and I'm like, "No, no, no. No," and that's one of the biggest things that I'm worried about. If someone buys us, they're gonna dilute us.
Mhm.
I pay my guys and everybody's like, "Do you have a problem with people?" I'm like, "No, I pay them a ridiculous amount of money to be who they are because they need to earn a living, right? And the more that I give, the more that we make, the better the experience is. It's don't penny pinch, go forward. Understand the difference between investing in your company and spending money. But getting back to it was this business, and I had a decision to make because I do own the business. And he was helping with the marketing and doing a great job. But we were going to all come together as partners. And I'm like, he wanted to make himself the CEO, and it was my business. Yes, he wanted to make himself the CEO, and it was my business. I'm like, "Wait a minute." He had never worked the truck, he had never been on the truck, but because he's the smartest person in the room, he thought he deserved it. I'm like, "You know what? It's time to call it a day. I know what my customers want." I had to trust my heart. I had to trust moving here. I had to trust hiring the right people that cared about customer service. I had a couple people my clients say, "How do you find people that care as much as you do?" And I said, "Well, I pay them a lot and I treat them great and I treat them like family. And it's easy to do in a small business. I'm sure when it's a much bigger business or legacy business, but I finally learned that, my gut was smarter than maybe his brains.
Absolutely.
That was it, and I'm like, "Yeah, because I get people. I know how to make people feel." When that HR person is out there in the group and everybody's getting food, I always make sure to say, "Let's give a shout out to Vanessa for putting this together." Do you know how she feels?
Yeah,
He
amazing.
never gets that inside that building, and everybody's cheering and, "Yay!" But, it's things and then going up to the boss and saying, "Listen, I loved working with Vanessa. She was on top of it. She made it happen. She was communicative. She was responsive to everything that I needed." It's though going those extra steps makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. And the common denominator is that connection, right? Like that human connection of seeing people and being felt like you're being seen and just a little shout out. Those little moments go a long way.
They do. People are starved for that, Vanessa. I
Yeah.
mean, our kids are, our spouses are, our partners are. I take George for granted because he's just that. He's built the machines. He takes care of all the mechanical stuff. Sometimes I just don't give him the recognition because he's doing a lot of grunt work. And I just have to remind myself. And I say to him, listen, baby. Can I buy you beer? What you did today was awesome. Come on, let's make you the CEO of your bar stool tonight.
Julie, wow. I mean, 12 years,
This
8
is our 12
grandchildren, right?
8 grandchildren under 8, 7 of them are boys, and 1 little girl finally, she's almost 2 in July. But yeah, 7 and I grew up in a family of all girls, so this has been culture shock to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And a business that you built. Sorry about that. And a business you built from nothing in a space no
Nothing,
one else was playing in.
nothing.
So, my final question to you
Yes.
is what do you want the women listening today to walk away knowing from your journey?
Yeah. Walk away knowing that you could be just early. You may not be wrong. It could be if there's no existing box or existing category, don't let that scare you because if you're getting all that feedback, that instant feedback I got from my client was everything because I'm like, my gosh, they really appreciated it. And just look for ways to get to that point where if nobody else is doing it, in fact, I'm going to tell all my grandkids, if everybody's going in this direction, go in this direction. And
Yes, I
and
love that.
really
I love that.
because that's where you're going to find the gap. That's where
Yeah.
gonna be able to fill the gap, and, you know, anybody that starts their business is going to care, but so many food trucks do this, Vanessa. "Oh, yeah, I wanna start a food truck. I'm the best at making German Belgium waffles." I'm like, "That's great as long as you don't wanna make money." I mean, I have never had a company call for there's a reason that we're doing tacos and pulled pork and beef brisket because those are all the things that my clients are asking for. But people, it's about them. They're not thinking about how to get that customer to call them back every year. And if they really just put some thought around how to do that, they would probably go to tacos or something else. I mean, they wouldn't do, but it's all about, oh, this is what I cook great. So this is going to work. I'm like, yeah, no, you got to really think about your end customer, what's lacking for them, what would make their life better. I mean, I make them look like rock stars, and it's like, listen, I'm going to make everybody so excited that you are part of this party because nobody in corporate America wants to be in charge of the event. That's just something they got the short straw. So I do
Yeah.
do my best to make sure that it's a great experience from her side, that she wants to be in charge of that party next year. But pay attention to who you're serving. Serving is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Julie, thank you. Thank you for sharing all of your story and your wise words. If there are any corporate businesses, organizations in the Detroit area that would like to work with you guys that maybe haven't had the chance to yet, how can they get in touch with you guys to
Yeah,
coordinate something?
the business is myfoodtruckevent.com. No S's on any of the words, but our sweet spot is somewhere between 200, 2,000 people. And if you want a successful, memorable employee appreciation, client appreciation event where we'll make you guys shine like the stars that you all are. So thank you.
And Julie, for those investors or anyone looking that have come across this episode with you and are intrigued to learn more about the business opportunities, do you want to go ahead and share how they can reach you?
Yes, you can go and come in through my LinkedIn profile. I don't have it, but it's Julie Cassens, Cassens. But I will tell you, those investors, we are to the food truck business what McDonald's Brothers was to the fast food industry. That's where we're at. This new category puts you back 50 years at the beginning. And with this new food service category, you will be blown away by all my numbers.
Yes, did you hear that, everybody? Did you hear that? We'll include all of the links in the episode descriptions. Thank you, Julie. And that's a wrap on this episode of Hustle and Heart. If something from today's conversation stayed with you, share it. Send it to the woman in your life who's in the middle of building something and could use a reminder that she's not doing it alone. Subscribe to get notifications on new episodes. I'll see you then.